Hello, this is a tutorial guide for our computer vision course on installing Python, GitHub Desktop, and Visual Studio Code. These are tools that you may need for development later on in the course. So the first thing we're installing is Python on our system. So we can type google.com, so we can search for Python download. You can click on Python releases for Windows, but if you only see this link, click this link and then go to downloads and then select Windows. Now the version we're trying to install is 3.9.9. You'll need to scroll down and find this version, 3.9.9. So it's here. Okay. The first link is the one I want to install, Windows Installer 64-bit. So I'm going to click on this. And then I'm going to double click this and install. So once you're here, ensure that you click the Add Python 3.9 to Path and then click on Install Now. This will install Python 3.9.9. Let's wait a little bit while it installs. If it does ask you for authorization or permission, just click yes. So the next step, once it finishes, is to check if the setup has completed successfully and you have Python on your system. To do that, you need to use a tool called command prompt. So once this is finished, setup was successful, you can close it. On your search bar at the bottom, you need to find something called command prompt. So I can type command prompt. This black, click this, and we want to check the version of Python you have. So I'm going to type Python dash dash version. So the version we have is 3.9.9. I'm going to close this, and now you have successfully installed Python. The next tool we need is GitHub Desktop, but first you need GitHub itself, so the GitHub account. So I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to go to github.com. Let me sign out of this account. Yes. Okay, so when you get to github.com, you'll most likely see this page. And the thing we want to do is if you don't have an account, we want to sign up for an account. When you sign up for an account, it will ask you for your email, a password, a username, and some other things. So I'm going to type my work email. I'm going to type a password, and I'm going to select a username. So I'm going to say Ibrahim Ame 131. I think 131 is taken, so I'm going to say 132. That's fine. And I am in Cyprus, so I'm going to say Cyprus. And then I'm going to click continue. This will try to create my account, but first, for security reasons, you will need to verify your account. It's a very simple puzzle. All you need to do is select the icon that is available on this side. So I'm going to find it. It is a horse, I think. It is this one. This is a blender. This one. And then let's do the final one. It's the same horse. And that will create my account. Now, I have created my account, but I have to verify it. So it will send you a code to your email. I'm going to go to my mail and I'm going to find the email they sent. And I'm going to copy the code and I will paste it over here. Once you paste it, it will ask you now to sign in. If you do have an account as well, you can just go to sign in. My email is this one and my password. Let me see. Okay, so once you've signed in successfully, you will get to this page. Now, GitHub is a place where people share files and folders and in many different ways. People mostly share code on GitHub, but you can use it for many other purposes. The concept of GitHub is to be able to track the files that you upload. So if you have made changes, you can see where you have made those changes, so that in the future, if you need those changes again, you can review them. So I'm going to to create something called a repository. Repository just means a folder that can be tracked. So if you see this green button, you can click Create Repository. If you don't see this button, you can go to this little icon on the right side and click Your Repositories. And you'll get to this page, which will show you all of your repositories. And what I want to do is I want to click on New. So I'm going to click this green button that says New. Once I'm here, it will give me another form. So I'm trying to create essentially a folder that I'll be able to upload all of my files. I am going to call it my folder. And I can give it a description. So I can say this is a place for me to store my personal files. Okay, so this describes my folder. Now you have these two options, that one that says public and one that says private. These are similar in a way to what Google Drive does, where you can share a link with someone and they can either see them, or unless you've specified who can see your personal files. So if it's on public, it means that anyone who has access to the link when created with this my folder repo name, they can access your files. Or you can choose private so that only you can make changes and only you can see the content of your folder. So I'm going to click public. The next step is says initialize this repository with a README file. Initializing just means create with something. So I am going to click this. A README file usually offers instructions or details about your folder with your repo. I'm just going to select that one. For the final ones, I'm just going to leave them as the default version. And then I will click the green button that says Create Repository. This will create your repo. As you can see, it is called My Folder, and it has one file, readme.md, which contains the title of my folder, which is my folder, and the description that I kept. So currently, we only have one file in our folder. What if we want more files? The easiest way to do this is to just add a file. Maybe you want to upload it from your computer. So you can click the button, Add File, Upload Files, and then choose your files. You can select as many files as you like. Let's say I want to select output. I'm going to open this. It will upload the file. And then you have another form. These are commit changes. So commit changes means I am trying to make a change to my folder. I want you to track these changes. So I'm going to say I am adding my output image. I can keep an extended description if I would like, but once I'm finished, I have to click commit changes. This will create a new commit onto your folder. It will upload your file to your folder, and now we have two files. So we have two files, and now we have two commits. Let's add more files. Let's upload. Let me find another different file. Let's say I want to upload this Excel file, and I want to upload another file. I'm gonna upload maybe this image as well. Okay, so I have two files. I'm gonna say I am adding more files as my description to my commit, and I'm gonna click commit changes. And now we have four files, but we have only three commits because the first one was added by itself. Then we added output PNG by itself, and then we added two files together. If you click on 3 commits, it will show you the history of how you've uploaded all of these files. So initial commit uploaded only one file. We only had the README. When we click the second one, we can see we only uploaded output.png. And when we click the third one, it will show you that we uploaded 2 files. So it's tracking the changes that you're making to your folders. And this is GitHub essentially. So let's go back to code. These are all of my files. Now, it's not very useful if all of this code is just online, all of these files are online, and you cannot access them on your computer. What GitHub Desktop does is it allows you to copy this folder that is online and put it onto your machine. If you click this green button and click Open with GitHub Desktop, it will take you here. Now we're trying to download this application. I'm going to click on Download Now, and I'm going to click on Download for Windows 64-bit. So it will start downloading. It will take a couple of minutes to finish the download. So while we're at it, let us also download another piece of software. What we're trying to download is something called Git, which complements GitHub Desktop. It is something that will run in the background. You don't need to worry about this one, but it is really good to install it. So I will go back to google.com and search for Git download. Oh, Git download. Okay. And then the first link that comes up, and we'll give you these 3 options: Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. We are using Windows at the moment, so you will click on Windows. And then you also have all of these options. The first link usually will be the correct one for your operating system. But if you do not know which one to click on, just click the standalone installer Git for Windows x64 setup. So this is the one we're trying to download. I'm going to click the blue button, and that will also start this download. So we will click this when it's done, and then we'll also install Git. Okay, so it's almost done. Okay, let it finish verifying, and then we will click on it. Okay, so when it finishes, just click on it. And the other one is almost finished as well. So when that is finished as well, just click once on it, and it will also open the installation. So now we don't need this page. I will close my Gmail. If this comes up, say yes. And I want to go to my GitHub, so I'll just go to github.com here. And I do not need the Python page anymore, so I'm going to close that. So you will have this installation for Git. It will ask you a lot to click next, so just click next, next. If it ever asks you this, maybe you already have it, just click yes. Next, 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 all the way. Okay, now GitHub Desktop is also starting to install. It might take a couple of minutes for this, but ensure this continues. Next, next. And then finally we'll say install. So click the install button. Let this run in the background by itself while this finishes. So now if you go back to your page, you will see that we are here. We have a link that directs you to the folder we just created. So this is the link itself. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to activate the Open with GitHub Desktop link. So when you click this, it will direct you to the application, and you'll be able to download the folder onto your system. So let us wait for it to finish installing. And I think it's almost done. Okay, so once it finishes, it will clear up some stuff and then it will reload the UI and you'll be able to use it. It will also add an icon to your desktop so that you can use it later on. So it will take you to the screen. Let me just minimize this. It will ask you to sign into github.com. We do have an account, so let's click the blue button. This will open a link to verify your session. This is me, yes, continue. It will ask you to authorize this application. We're authorizing GitHub Desktop, so I'm going to click the green button, authorize desktop. Now it will direct you back to this. It will sign into GitHub for you. And you should have almost the same sort of features that you have online. Now it asks you to configure Git. Yes, this is my name, this is my email, so I'm going to click finish. And now you have this, similar to when we had this at the beginning on the page on the left side. Now you can see we have that here. So let's say I did not have this here. Let's say I only had this link. I was already here and I want to use GitHub Desktop. I can go to code and click open with GitHub Desktop. It will ask you, this site is trying to open GitHub Desktop with a certain application, but sometimes it will direct you to a different one. I am trying to use the Windows version. So let me say cancel. Let me see if it gives me another option. Let me see, always allow. Okay, this worked. So it will send you here. This is the link. It matches the one over there. And it will save into documents, GitHub, my folder. So we can click clone. Clone just means I'm copying the folder. So I'm going to click that. And now it will download all of the files from that folder onto my system. So this will take a couple of seconds. I believe our installation might also be done for Git. Let me see if it's still there. I think it's finished. Okay, so it's downloading the files. Depending on how big your folder is, it might take some time. Okay, this is finished. Let me just finish this. Close. Close this. Okay, sometimes it might ask you to trust the repo. This is okay. I do trust it because I created it myself. And we'll take you here. So this is the view that you might see a lot. The thing that is the most important is the show in Explorer. This will take you to the location of your folder on your computer. So I'm going to click show in Explorer. And when the folder opens, you can see that the files match the ones that are online. So we have the same files. We have 4 files and they're all there. So now we have all of these files here, but I've only pulled from GitHub. What if I want to push? What if I have files that are on my computer and I want to send them online? So let us open this in a new window. Let's say I have another file I want to upload. Let's say let's say I have a YAML file and I want this to also be here. So I'm going to copy this here. This are now 5 files, but these 5 files are on my system. If I refresh here, nothing has happened. So I need to perform a commit inside of GitHub Desktop. So I have a new file. I am going to say I am committing a new file. And you can add a description if you'd like, but then I'm going to create a commit by clicking the blue button. And still, if you try to refresh, nothing would happen because you have not pushed. GitHub Desktop asks you, do you want to push to origin? At the same time, it gives you this option as a blue button over here. Both of these buttons do the same thing. So if I click push, it will take the file and then upload it to GitHub. So let's wait while it uploads the file. And once it's done, if you refresh, you will see that now we have 5 files and 4 commits. So this is GitHub Desktop. Finally, we have the VS Code installation. I am going to go back to Google and I'm going to type Visual Studio Code download. And I'm going to click this first link. It will take me to this page. We are installing for Windows. So for Windows, we have these options. If you know which system you're on, you can choose the one that you know, the one that you want to use. But if you don't know, you can click the general button, the one that's big. This will download Visual Studio Code. It is 1 minute left, so we can talk a bit about Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code is a code editor, and all it does is edit code, but you can do it more than just edit code. You can look at files, you can edit files, and you can sort of track those changes with GitHub using Visual Studio Code. So we will use Visual Studio Code for writing our Python code later on in the course. And it has some new features. And it has an extension that we will install very soon for Python. And we'll also customize it with our own themes. So let's wait for this to finish downloading and then we can install it. So once it finishes downloading, just click the file. Don't need this anymore. It will take you here. You have to click I accept the agreement and then click on next. Click on next again. If it says this, just click on yes. Then next. You can create a desktop icon if you like. I would like to say yes, next, and then install. This will now install Visual Studio Code. So it's almost done. Okay, once it finishes, it asks for to launch Visual Studio Code. We're going to click Finish. Let me minimize this. Minimize GitHub Desktop. Close this, and also close this, and then wait for it to launch. It has created the desktop icon. Okay, so once it loads, it most likely will look very empty. Let's open a new window so you can see what it most likely will look like. You'll most likely see this. So this is Visual Studio Code. It has all of these areas that you can use to sort of navigate throughout the application. The first thing you'll see that we have a left bar on this side, this black bar. This is known as the main activity bar. And then we have this main area where you will be seeing your code. And then sometimes a right panel can come up on this side. So you have access to these panels. Also, there's a bottom panel, and you can access them here with these three buttons. The first one on this side will toggle the right bar if you need it. Then we have a bottom bar. And then we have this bar. So this will toggle any of these on this side. So if you click this, it will expand the Explorer bar. And if you click it again, it will hide it away. Similarly, if you click the icon, it will also do the same thing. So the first one is the Explorer. This Explorer icon will be able to show you your current folder structure. If you have opened a folder, currently we have nothing open. So let us open a folder. So I know that in my documents inside of GitHub, I have a folder somewhere called my first folder, for example, or my folder. This is the one we created. I'm going to select this folder. And I have the 5 files that I've had uploaded. So this is a repo. The second icon is search. So if you have searchable content, you can use this to search content throughout all of your files. The third icon is for source control. This is for Git and GitHub. If you have made changes, they will show up here, and all of your commits are here. These are all the commits we've made, the 4 commits. Then we have the debug icon. You may not use this as much. Then we have the extensions. So for extension, we're trying to install a couple of extensions. The first one is this material icon theme. So you'll have to type material icon, and then you'll have to click on install. So if it's already installed, you will only see things like this uninstall. So I'm going to uninstall this so I can show you how install looks like. It will have a button right here for install. Click the installation button and then select it. Secondly, you will have a second extension that you need to install called Python. And it's this one from Microsoft. Click on install, and that should install it as well. Now, we have done almost everything, but we have not connected to GitHub. So to connect to GitHub, you can click this icon over here that looks like a user, and then click on sign in to sync settings. And it will load you to GitHub links. This is my account, so I'm going to click continue. I'm going to authorize Visual Studio Code. And it might have already directed me back here. Let me see. Okay, so if you check again, you should see that you are logged in. So we are logged into GitHub onto our system for Visual Studio Code. So we have this. This is the structure that is currently shown in my Visual Studio Code. It looks a little bit different somehow. When you look at the folder structures for Windows, most of the times it's either a list or you might have like a box shaped layout. And when you click folders, they go into each other. With Visual Studio Code, you only have one view. They always go in a hierarchy, so they go downwards. And you have to sort of follow this kind of structure. To create a new file, we have this icon that says new file. And to create a folder, we have this one to create a new folder. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to say this is Excel files. And I'm going to keep this B's file inside of Excel so that it's inside. And then I'm going to have another one, and I'm going to call it images. And I'm going to drag this into images. And then I'm going to create a third folder, and I'm going to call it other files. And I'm going to leave this one empty. So we have this, we have made changes. And you can see somehow that this one is now numbering your changes. It's showing you have made changes to these files. I don't want to use this. I want to use GitHub Desktop. So if I go back to GitHub Desktop, in the same folder, I can see I have made these changes. So I want to commit these changes. I'm going to say over here, making new changes. I'm going to commit my 6 file changes. And similarly, I'm going to push to origin. Okay, so now we have in our GitHub, when we refresh, we can see that there are changes. However, it's a little bit different. If we look at the structure of the files between here and here, we can see that we have the Excel files folder, we have the images folder, but we do not have the other files folder. GitHub will not track any empty folders. It will not upload empty folders. So if you want a folder to be uploaded onto your main folder, you have to ensure that a file exists. Currently, the other files folder is empty. So the final thing I want you to check is for terminal. It's the same thing we did with command prompt, but inside of Visual Studio Code, we call it terminal. And we want to check if Python is available. So to check, you go to terminal, new terminal, and it will give you a little search, a little typing location at the bottom. And what we want to type is Python dash dash version. And if it says you have Python 3.9.9 installed, then you're fine and you have completed this tutorial successfully.